Liam Bop Roe, a name closely linked to the leadership of Ireland's notorious Kinahan Organized Crime Group, lived and died steeped in the world of organised crime. As a senior lieutenant in the Kinahan Cartel, Roe played a critical role in one of Europe's most infamous criminal organisations. Welcome back to Crime Chronicles. Stay tuned as we look at the life of Liam Roe, from his early years in Dublin to his death in August of 2024 at the age of 46. His life was marked by violence, wealth, and the shadow of the law. Born and raised in Dublin's south inner city, Liam Roe's path into organised crime was almost preordained. In fact, it might have been his only career option due to his family connections. Bop was a cousin of prominent gangsters Fat Freddie Thompson and Liam Byrne, and Roe was drawn into the Kinahan Cartel through these familial ties. These connections placed him in the orbit of Daniel Kinahan, the cartel's de facto leader, where he quickly rose through the ranks. The Kinahan Cartel, headquartered in Ireland with global operations, was a powerhouse in drug trafficking, money laundering, and violent enforcement. Bop rose through the ranks and eventually became a trusted lieutenant of Liam Byrne, who headed the cartel's Dublin operations. In this role, Roe was instrumental in organising logistical elements, such as securing safe houses and managing drug and cash storage. His career spanned decades, during which Roe's influence and responsibilities grew. By 2010, he had transitioned from a foot soldier involved in direct violence to a senior figure, responsible for managing groups of men and planning larger cartel actions. Roe's ascent coincided with the Kinahan Cartel's protracted gang war with the Hutch crime family, a feud that left a trail of bloodshed across Dublin. While not directly implicated in public records, Roe's position as a senior lieutenant likely involved him in planning and supporting the cartel's retaliatory actions. He survived an attempted assassination in 2015 outside the Red Cow Inn in Dublin. The botched hit, attributed to the Hutch gang, underscored the perilous life Roe led. A year later, Roe mourned the death of his cousin, David Byrne, who was killed during the infamous Regency Hotel attack, a pivotal moment in the Kinahan-Hutch feud. Beyond the violence, Roe's criminal repertoire extended to financial crimes. Investigations by Ireland's Criminal Assets Bureau, or CAB, revealed his involvement in questionable real estate transactions, including the purchase of a Clondalkin house funded by proceeds of crime. Roe was frequently stopped by authorities as he was a known cartel face with a distinctive look. He was obviously a fan of sunbeds and was very tanned with extremely white teeth. In one notable instance, Roe was spotted by police and stopped at Dublin Airport and found to be holding a whopping 60,000 euros in cash. Despite being unemployed, he maintained a bank account with a balance of nearly 300,000 euros, exposing the stark disparity between his declared earnings and lavish lifestyle. Although Roe's later years saw him move away from hands-on violence, this was one of the perks of moving up the ranks. You don't have to get your hands dirty. But earlier in his career, he was suspected of involvement in 3 shootings tied to Dublin's Crumlin-Drimnagh feud of the 2000s, a feud linked to the deaths of at least 15 men. Police believe he was part of a 4-man hit squad that participated in a 2002 attack on rival gang leader Brian Rattigan, who miraculously survived despite being shot at close range. He was thought to be one of the 3 shooters, while the 4th man drove the getaway vehicle. No one has ever been charged with this attempted assassination on Rattigan. Roe was also suspected in the murder of Rattigan's brother, Joey, who was only 18 when he was killed. Joey was shot by 2 men, and Bop was suspected of being one of these. But once again, no one was ever formally charged, and the murder remains unsolved. Roe was also under suspicion for an attempted murder in the Coombe district of south central Dublin in June of 2002. However, the target survived, and Roe faced no charges. None of these allegations led to formal charges, but they cemented Roe's reputation as a key enforcer in the cartel's violent history, and they helped elevate him above the ranks of mere foot soldiers to the upper echelons of the cartel. Despite the cartel's increasingly fraught position in Ireland and abroad, Roe managed to enjoy a life of luxury. He frequently travelled to high-end destinations, funded by his illicit earnings. CAB investigations in 2016 highlighted his extravagant lifestyle and connections to the cartel's financial network. We have seen time and time again how the CAB is being used as the most effective weapon to put pressure on the cartels. Massive, unexplained wealth will only serve to put a target on your back if you're a known cartel member. Over the past 2 decades, the noose has tightened as Irish authorities intensified their efforts to dismantle the Kinahan Cartel. International sanctions, arrests of key figures, and relentless law enforcement pressure left the cartel reeling. Roe, one of the few senior members who remained in Dublin, faced mounting scrutiny. Roe's life of crime came to an end, not through violence, but illness. Diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer, he spent his final days in Dublin's St James Hospital, surrounded by family. His death in August of 2024 marked the conclusion of a life deeply entrenched in organised crime. Mourners at his funeral in Crumlin included figures from the Kinahan network, highlighting his enduring connections within the cartel. Among them was Sadie Byrne, mother of slain cartel member David Byrne, and Lee Gibson, another associate linked to the organisation. Liam Bop Roe's story exemplifies the human cost of organised crime. While his rise within the Kinahan Cartel brought wealth and influence, it also entangled him in a web of violence, law enforcement scrutiny, and moral compromise. His death coincided with a critical period for the Kinahan Cartel, which has faced severe setbacks from coordinated efforts by Irish and international authorities. Roe's passing represents both the personal consequences of a life in crime and the broader unravelling of one of Europe's most feared criminal empires. For all his wealth and influence, Roe's life serves as a cautionary tale of how power obtained through illicit means ultimately proves ephemeral. His death in relative obscurity, compared to the headlines that marked his criminal career, underscores the fleeting nature of such a legacy. He may well remain a memorable figure to those still involved in cartel operations, but ultimately he led a life that focused on nothing more than personal gain, while providing misery to many others. For every mourner at his funeral, there would be many more that would have been badly affected by his and the cartel's actions. These people will undoubtedly be happy to find out that Liam Roe is no longer around to provide further torment to the people of Ireland. Thank you for joining us today on Crime Chronicles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel with your friends.